Good morning, students. How are you all? I, Bharti Sridhara, working as a lecturer in economics for last 38 years. I started my YouTube channel especially for the BCom students, where you are going to get the great information about the subject. And I'm very sure that you all are going to get very good marks when you follow my videos. Do visit my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Good morning, students. I, Bharti Sridhara, have 38 years of experience in teaching economics. It gives me great pleasure to explain the entire semester 5 syllabus to TY BCom students. Since COVID-19 is not allowing us to step out of our homes, you can use these videos for your studies at home. I am explaining the entire syllabus according to modules, and you all are aware that every module has the same weightage of 25 marks. My sincere efforts are to discuss which are the important questions in this topic, how to write their answers, and very importantly, how to get good marks in economics. So let us start. Module 1 has 4 lessons. Number 1, New Economic Policy 1991. When we say New Economic Policy 1991, we have to remember Dr. Manmohan Singh, because he is called as father of Indian reforms. The New Economic Policy refers to ongoing economic liberalization or relaxation started in 1991 of the country's economic policies. It was introduced with the goal of making the economy more market-oriented and expanding the role of private and foreign investment. Now, the question which can be asked in the examination, that is the new point, the next point, the rationale of New Economic Policy NEP 1991. What is the meaning of rationale? Rationale is the reasons. Which are the reasons responsible for New Economic Policy 1991? Let us start with the introduction. See, there are 3 points under this, but before that you have to give some introduction. And in introduction you can write that since 1951 the Indian economy was functioning as a mixed economy, with the government controlling some of the most strategic industrial sector. India was an underdeveloped country having problems of poverty, unemployment, inequality. Public sector enterprises played a very significant role in creating employment and providing several goods and services at low cost. But they had their own problems, like they were making losses and they become a burden to the taxpayers. And that is why in 1980, the government had begun to bring some measures of liberalization of the economy. But unfortunately, these measures were also small steps and they did not make any significant difference. So all this changed in 1991 when the government take the major step of introducing far-reaching reforms, and these reforms are called as New Economic Policy. So this is the introduction for this question, the rationale of New Economic Policy. Now we will start. Which are the 3 points? Which are the 3 reasons for New Economic Policy? Number 1, fiscal crisis. Number 2, balance of payment crisis. And number 3, high inflationary pressure. These are the 3 reasons. These are the 3 pointers. In economics, always you have to give points and then explanation. Your explanation can be in 1 or 2 lines, not more than that. But the pointers are important. The first point, fiscal crisis. The fiscal situation had been under tremendous pressure, especially since 1980s. The fiscal deficit rose to 7.7% of GDP in 1991. The internal debt of the central government was 48.6% of the GDP in 1991. The interest burden of government rose up to 29% of revenue expenditure. That is really very, very high. And the high fiscal deficit in 1980 was one of the important cause of the crisis of 1991. Now, reducing fiscal deficit was an important macroeconomic objective of new economic policy. So this is about the fiscal crisis. Now the second point, balance of payment crisis. Balance of payment crisis reached to its peak in 1991 when the foreign exchange reserves had fallen about $1 billion. The oil prices, the Gulf prices increased due to the Gulf War. The current account deficit, which rose to $9.7 billion, that is 3.2% of GDP in 1991. India's access to commercial borrowings from abroad totally dried up. The balance of payment crisis had become the crisis of confidence in the government's ability to manage the balance of payment problem. And that is why the new economic policy 1991 was announced by the government. The last point, that is high inflationary pressure. What do you mean by inflation? Inflation is nothing but rise in the price. The inflation in our country before 1991 was like the wholesale prices in India rose to an annual rate of 8.2% during the period of 81-82 to 93-94. And in 1991, the rate of inflation crossed double-digit mark. It stood to 10.2%. When in any of the economy, when inflation crosses double-digit mark, it becomes a problem for the economy and for the country. In 1994, this rose up to 14%. So the inflation was very high, and to control the inflation, new economic policy was announced by the government. So students understand, this is a question that reasons of new economic policy, in that you have to give 3 points: fiscal crisis, balance of payment crisis, and high inflationary pressure. Now let us move to the next point. What are the important policy changes in 1991? This is a question. This can be asked like this way. Explain the new economic policy changes, important changes and effects on Indian economy. So in all we are going to discuss. The new government under the Prime Ministership of P.V. Narasimha Rao, which assumed office in June 1991, took the various policy measures. They relied on the combination of macroeconomic stabilization and structural reforms in industrial and trade policy. They are popularly termed as LPG. Together, these policies resulted in liberalization, privatization and globalization of Indian economy. Now we have to divide it into two parts. One, macroeconomic stabilization, that is demand management. What are the demand side? In demand side, there are 3 points: control of inflation, fiscal correction and balance of payment position or adjustment. So the first point, control of inflation. As the fiscal and monetary policies were undertaken to bring down the high inflation rate, the fiscal deficit was brought down from 7.7% of the GDP in 1991 to 4.9% in 95-96. RBI continued with tight monetary policies by raising bank rate, CRR and SLR. The inflation rate was brought down to 8% in 1995-96 and further it brought down to 4.6% in 96-97. So these are the changes that the inflation rate brought down to 4.6%. So this you have to write about control of inflation. These are the changes. The second point, fiscal correction. What do you mean by correction? Correction is nothing but correct action. The fiscal reforms were introduced since 1991 to correct the fiscal imbalance. Measures were taken to increase tax revenue through tax reforms. Taxes were rationalized and simplified. The rate of personal income tax has come down to 30% in 97-98. The maximum rate of custom duty, which was very high as 250% before the reforms, had been reduced to 40% in 97-98. In 94-95, service tax was introduced. So these are the things you have to write about fiscal correction. The third point, balance of payment adjustment, BOP adjustment. Various measures were taken to improve the balance of payments of the country. India adopted the unified exchange rate system in 93-94 and India moved to managed floating exchange rate system. Efforts were made to increase the export and these measures help to improve the balance of payment position of the country. So this is, you have to write about the demand side, that is macroeconomic stabilization. Now the next point is structural reforms, that is supply side management. In the previous slide we discussed demand side management. Now we have to discuss supply side management. The supply side management, they aimed at removing the bottlenecks and obstacles in the growth path of the economy. So in that, which measures they have taken? That is industrial reforms. Then the next measures, they are policy reforms, banking sector reforms, that we will discuss one by one. In industrial reforms, there are abolition of industrial licensing, then permitted foreign investment and foreign technology, reduce the role of public sector and removal of MRTP Act. So I'll just explain that point. Abolition of industrial licensing. The new policy abolished industrial licensing for all industries except 18 industries. At present, there are only 5 industries under compulsory licensing. That means government want to give encouragement to the industrial sector. Second, permitted foreign investment, foreign technology. Initially, FDI limit was up to 51%, but subsequently the limit was raised to 100% for many industries. The next, reduced role of public sector. The new policy reduced the number of industry reserved for public sector from 17 to 3. The industries that are reserved for public sector are atomic energy, substances notified by Department of Atomic Energy, and railways transport. Other industries are opened up for the private sector. The government wanted to give encouragement to only private sector, so government reduced their role. The next, removal of MRTP Act. MRTP stands for the Monopoly and Restrictive Trade Practices Act. The MRTP Act is now replaced by Competition Act 2002. So in the industrial reforms, these 4 points and their explanation you have to write. Now the next is public sector reforms and disinvestment. The public sector enterprises constitute the major segment of industrial activity in India. But unfortunately, the performance of public sector enterprises have suffered various problems like losses, fall in efficiency, etc. Since 1991, there have been major changes in public sector policy in India. The public sector reforms consisted of disinvestment involving sale of portion of the government equity to public sector enterprises while retaining majority control with the government, attempting to improve the performance of public sector enterprises. So this you have to write about the public sector reforms and disinvestment. Then the next is trade and capital flows reforms. In that there are 4 points: liberalization of imports, reduction in tariff structure, promotion of export, and change in exchange rate. Liberalization of imports, that import controls were virtually abolished except for some consumer goods. Second, reduction in tariff structure. The peak import duty on non-agricultural products was reduced from more than 300% to 150% in 1991, and it was further lowered to 20% in 2004 and 5 and 10% to 2007 and 8. The next, promotion of export. Various incentives are provided to exporters in foreign trade policies of the government. The next, change in exchange rate policy. The RBI intervenes in the foreign exchange market to reduce excess volatility in the foreign exchange market to stabilize the exchange rate in rupees. So this you have to write about trade and capital reforms. Now the very important, that is financial sector reforms. Now financial sector reforms, in that there are 3 points. They are banking sector reforms, capital market reforms, and insurance sector reforms. The Indian financial sector reform consists of banking, insurance, and capital market. Number 1, banking sector reforms. Today we see all these new facilities available in the banking sector, which started from 1991. The reforms were: number 1, lowering of SLR. SLR was lowered up to 19.5%. Lowering of CRR. CRR is cash reserve ratio. SLR is statutory liquid ratio. CRR reduced to 4%. Next, deregulation of interest rate. Scheduled bank have now freedom to set the interest rates on their deposits. Next, access to capital market. Nationalized commercial banks are allowed to access capital market for funds through public issues. Next, entry of new private sector banks. This is very important. Government has permitted the entry of new private sector banks. This has provided competition to public sector banks. Next, freedom of operations. Scheduled commercial banks have given freedom to open new branches and upgrade extension counters. Then special recovery tribunals. These are very important for quicker recovery of loan arrears. This is about the financial sector reforms, in that banking sector reforms. Now the next is capital market reforms. The important reforms introduced in the capital markets are: number 1, SEBI as a statutory body. SEBI stands for Securities and Exchange Board of India, which was set up in 1988. And it was made a statutory body in January 1992. And SEBI is authorized to regulate all merchant banks on issue activities. Next, primary market reforms. Companies raising capital in primary markets are required to disclose all the information. Next, on trading. In that, SEBI introduced online trading, and this is expected to lead to reduction in time and cost. Next, rolling settlement by FII. SEBI has introduced the rolling settlement. Under this system, the trading cycle has shortened to a day and the traders are settled within 2 working days. Next, investment by FII. FII stands for Foreign Institutional Investors. Foreign institutional investors are allowed to invest in all types of securities traded in the primary and secondary market. Next, establishment of NSE. NSE stands for National Stock Exchange. National Stock Exchange of India was set up in November 1992 and it started its operation in 1994. These are the capital market reforms. And the last point, insurance sector reforms. When we say insurance, only LIC we are thinking about. But after the reforms, what happened in our country, that we are going to discuss. Insurance sector was a monopoly of the government until recently. Reforms in the insurance sector connected with the passing of Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, IRDA. I repeat, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority Act 1999. The IRDA Act ended the monopoly of the government in the insurance sector. This is done by encouraging private investment in the insurance sector. The IRDA has given license to number of private sector companies to do the insurance business, and out of which number of them have started business. The government has raised the foreign equity investment capital in an Indian insurance company from 26% to 49%. So the new economic policy has created an encouraging environment for investment and innovation. Indian industries have started to attract foreign portfolio investment and equity participation in new ventures. India has started to experience high growth rates in the post-reform period. Indian economy is now much more integrated with the world economy. This is about the topic 1, module 1. So the questions can be explain the rationale of new economic policy and discuss the new industrial policy. These pointers you can use and give your answers. Thank you.